So I wanted to tell you guys about how I'm going to be suing this hospital, St. Joseph's Hospital here in Buchanan, West Virginia. And I'm going to be suing this hospital because they forced an injection on me before I left after I gave birth. They told me I couldn't leave without taking this injection, which they told me was a chickenpox vaccine, which I'd already had twice. I'd already had 2 or 3 other people tell me that they were giving me a chickenpox vaccine and shoot me up with something random or whatever it was. You know what I mean? And I'd already had chickenpox 3 times as a child and wasn't going to ever catch chickenpox ever again for the rest of my life. So I'm not sure why anyone would ever need to give me a chickenpox vaccination as an adult. Super retarded. I would also not catch shingles for another 50 years or something. So I'm not sure why it was so imperative to give me directly after I gave birth. It was kind of messed up thing. They told me that I had to take it. I was treated really badly, really, really poorly there whenever I had my last kid. I'd had a child there once, so I know that they do have the capacity to give proper medical treatment and deliver these babies properly. But they chose not to do it right that day. And the real issue is because that day I had a baby that genetically showed that they were the product of relatives, people who were closely related. And a team of women came in and gathered around me. And instead of them being the team of professionals that they were, all these nurses at St. Joseph's Hospital, instead of them informing me that I had just given birth to an inbred baby who was going to probably be different developmentally than other children, instead of them asking me how this incestuous inbred, situation came about, instead of them bringing that up at all, they giggled and they laughed at me. And I didn't even know. I'm letting you know right now, I had no idea. I really did not know. There was something wrong while I was pregnant. There was something definitely wrong. It was a really hard pregnancy. I did consider, it did remind me of what I had heard about interbreeding pregnancies. It was such a hard pregnancy. It was the hardest thing I've ever been through physically in my whole life. 1,000 times harder than the other pregnancies. And the baby was bigger than the others. But I just remembered back to the guy who I was with at the time telling me, he said, man, when I was born, I was a 9-pound baby and they had to cut me out of my mom and my head was so big and I was just such a big baby. And he just ranted on and on and on about his genetics and that he was a Thor, and that, hang on a second. He tells me that all of the babies in his family are born really big and have to be delivered by C-section. And at the time, I believed him. Oh my God, but he was really just covering for one of my relatives who I didn't know yet. And those two were getting it on. I didn't entirely know. I knew that the guy that I was with wasn't necessarily a faithful, loving, good dude or anything, but I didn't necessarily think that he would have just passed me out to somebody. All right, so these wicked witches come into this room and they all sit around me. I swear there's 2 rows of bitches in front of me. St. Joseph's Hospital, right? These young women giggling and just this evil air about them. And I've heard that a lot of these women who work in the neonatal and the maternity wards, that a lot of them are in the occult and they're witches and warlocks. They practice a lot of witchcraft, the ones who work with the babies, because as soon as those babies are born, some really wicked things happen to them and some assaults happen to them, and then they're implanted, microchipped. and that satanic rituals are performed on them, and their blood is taken, and just horrible different things that I've heard of. Doctors and nurses have been doing to these babies for the whole time that babies have been born in hospitals, basically. I can't tell you personally if any of that stuff's true because I don't work in a maternity ward as a witch, but I've heard tale, and I've also seen the babies come back seeming very, very traumatized in a quite unusual way that does not just happen just because you take a baby out of the room. I mean, come on now, you guys. I've seen it. I've seen some weird stuff, and I do have a sixth sense, so I know you guys do some weird stuff in the back. Anyways, these women come in here, and they're sitting around me, and they say, we did these tests on your kid, and we filled out these forms, and we're going to tell you the conclusions that we came to. And they said, in the future, the baby is not going to have a very good job. He's not going to be very smart. He's just not going to do very well, and we just wanted you to know that. And they were all laughing to each other, like I said. And I was like, who do they think that this person's dad is? Like, I was just thinking, like, man, I mean, I know that the guy I was with wasn't like a complete genius or anything, but he wasn't like, I didn't think he was as dumb as rocks or anything. Like, what the fuck is going on here? So yeah, these bitches just sat here and they were just fucking rude as fuck to me. And they were in that room for a good 10 minutes and they really they did their best to get me as upset as they could. And they just sat there and acted like that was their job. And it was something that they all got together and did every day, that they just all went together, all 10 and 15 of them went into these rooms where these babies' mothers were, and they would inform the mothers that their babies weren't going to be fucking shit someday. Yeah, that's what they did to me at St. Joseph's. And like I said, I'd had 2 other babies before. I don't know if they thought that was like my first baby or something, but I'd had 2 other babies the decade before. I'd never had teams of women come in and tell me that my kids were going to be stupid, or that they weren't going to be worth the fuck someday, or that they would never be anything, that they weren't going to have good jobs someday. I'm not sure why that would become protocol under any circumstances. Anyways, it was really weird, and it took almost 10 fucking years for the information to come out that that the child's parents are close relatives. Like, the kid was born, I wondered why the kid only looked like me, legitimate. I was like, what is going on? I was like, why doesn't this kid look like his dad? Like, it's like he doesn't look like his dad, but he looks like me. I don't know. It's weird. Like, I really had to look really hard to see that dude's face in the baby. Like, I actually was able to look at the kid's face, and you could compare the kid's face to the guy who wasn't his dad to his face, and you'd be surprised at how much they looked alike. For real. Like, I even had one friend of me like take the picture of the baby and draw a beard and, fill it in and make it look like the redneck that I'd been dating. And it actually looked pretty good. Like, the baby actually looked a lot like him. But it ended up not really being his baby, which was really shocking to me. And I had even testified in court that I did think that,